This is it! Let's do this.
You got any new material?
What we got's gonna turn your brain into shit.
Hey there, folks. I'm Mike for CMCC Builds, and this is part 2 of Treantmonk's Grapple Death Squad versus the level 10 Gauntlet. If you haven't seen part 1, click right here, right now, and watch it. The details of this Gauntlet run can be viewed there. Reminder, if you want to play or DM Gauntlets, watch a number of live runs, discuss D&D, or use the nearly 20 free modules for your own games, join the Gauntlet Discord, link below. Without any further delay, I give to you your favorite band of adventurers, Josie, Tomcat, and of course, P-Cat.
Keep your own damn berries, LaRusso.
Recovering from their previous 2 battles, P-Cat drinks some more potions to heal 34 hit points, and Josie re-ups Emboldening Bond, as 10 minutes have passed since the initial use. Back in the main chamber, the group decides to head over to the specimen labs to rock some socks off. As they move around the bend into the tunnel, which is wide enough for their cart, they find the path covered in webs. With the Pegasus following at a distance, the band burns the webs with some well-placed firebolts. As the tunnel opens up, the chittering of spiders eerily echoes in their ears. The spiders easily see the fire burning their beloved webs. Intruders! Roll initiative? Round 1. A quick review of the webs as a dungeon hazard rules, and the band decides to play the classics.
I think we're good. I think we're good for Spike Growth.
The people want to see hits? Give them the hits. A large monstrosity with the lower body of a giant spider and the upper body of a drow approaches the party. The Drider Zendalur upcasts hold person on P-Cat and Josie, with Tomcat tucked safely inside his crate. A roll of 25 for P-Cat is good enough, but Josie only rolls an 11. But 3 1s from Emboldening Bond and Favored by the Gods is just enough to make the save. And Josie is up next and strategically places a Spike Growth. The crowd cheers! Tomcat oozes out of the crate and casts Haste. Here we go. And for a little icing.
What the heck? What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. You're inspired.
P-Cat's turn, and he bonus action Giant's Might to become large. Reminder, P-Cat with Haste has a movement speed of 200. And with Haste's extra action, he can dash, and on subsequent turns, he can use a bonus action to Cunning Action Dash for up to 600 feet of movement. On this turn, that should only be 400 feet of movement, and if he dashes, he ignores difficult terrain. So, sorry, webs. P-Cat enters the webs, rolling an 18, saving from being restrained. He then climbs to the ceiling with his massive climb speed, grapples the first Drider with a 29 athletics, then darts down through the webs, Zendalur in hand, to get to the Drider in the pit below. Another successful grapple, and P-Cat, hanging in the webs 5 feet above the Spike Growth, moves both Driders into the Spike Growth and then vibrates 5 feet back and forth to grind out the damage. A quick note that during the calculations, and be warned that this type of build requires a lot of math to figure out total movement, movement speed, movement left, conversion into squares, and then squares to damage. It's a lot. So a mistake happened where it was assumed a bonus action dash was used rather than a bonus action Giant's Might. The effect on the game is negligible, as P-Cat would action surge for another dash to eliminate the Drider threats, and a future use of action surge that is overkill, as we'll see. In the end, the back and forth movement dishes out 80 d4 damage for a total of 204 piercing to each Drider. Not a chance.
I saw another group take like 10 rounds to clear these guys.
We only took 10 rounds worth of time to figure out the math.
No, I'm sorry.
As the Drider Viscera sieves through his hands, P-Cat feels a metal object. He grasps it before it falls to the ground, an inverted spider crest key. The party considers leaving, but decides to continue the battle in hopes of finding another prototype monstrosity to slay. They've killed 1, and 2 more remain. P-Cat darts over to the nearest drow, incurring an opportunity attack from the swarm of spiders, which misses with a nat 1, and that ends P-Cat's crazy turn.
That is the most efficiently I've seen anybody take on the Driders so far.
You hear that, Chris? My turn was efficient.
Yeah, well, that's a matter of perspective.
But
I'm legendary on Chris's server for my efficient turns.
The spider swarms attack each of the PCs, with Josie and P-Cat each getting hit. Tomcat remains safely tucked away in his crate. Josie chooses to dodge, recognizing how important maintaining Spike Growth is to the party's plan of attack.
I have a plan. Attack.
Tomcat stays inside the crate and dodges. The horrified drow begin to lose their resolve, but a failed intimidation check by Peacat allows the Dark Elves to steel themselves and remain in the fight. The 3 drow fire crossbows at Peacat, 1 with disadvantage for being in melee. Only 1 hits for 4 piercing, and Peacat makes the DC 13 Constitution saving throw against the drow's poison. Peacat's turn, and here we go again. Still climbing above the spike growth in the webs, a grapple attempt against the nearest drow with advantage for a 14 is bested by the elf's 15, but a side knack brings that total to 19. He drags the grappled elf towards the other drow, but the weak humanoid dies before Peacat can reach the other. Rinse and repeat as the second drow is killed in the same manner. Peacat ends his turn next to the third drow, finishing on the ground, as the webs end toward the southern part of the spike growth. And at this point, the party easily dispatches the remaining drow and spider swarms with minor damage accrued by the bandmates, who decide to rush through this room without searching in order to maintain the spike growth for any upcoming battle in this room. A thick steel door leading to a vault door is determined by Tomcat to be an airlock via a high passive investigation score. Yes, that actually serves a purpose. So Tomcat discerns that a lever on the inside of the airlock will shut the door behind him and open the door in front of him. Yikes, don't split the party. The large claw marks on the inside of the airlock further warn the party, this is for real. A failed investigation check by Tomcat to get more information leads to a successful Arcana check by Peacat, who realizes that pulling the lever will also set off a Dispel magic spell, as a means of decontaminating anyone or anything that goes in or out. Tomcat pulls out some thieves' tools in an attempt to turn off the Dispel effect, but Peacat steps up instead to take the task. Tomcat helps and inspires Peacat. Longstrider and Gift of Alacrity are too valuable to risk losing. A roll of 16 plus 1 with the talisman is enough to rig the lever to open but not set off the Dispel magic spell. The party piles into the cart, and squeeze into the airlock, allowing the vault to open, revealing 2 doors. They try the closest one, which opens to a room filled with wood elves strapped to several surgical tables, with surgical equipment and chemical vials strewn about. The captives desperately call out for help. A suspicious Peacat rolls a 20 on an insight check, which is just enough to notice the ever so slight lack of fear in the elves' voices. They're acting. Peacat telepathically communicates the discovery to the party. Danger. Roll initiative. Round 1. Tomcat seeps out of the chest and again casts haste on Peacat before sliding back into the chest. Josie carefully places a spike growth in the optimal position to allow Peacat to do his thing. A hulking plant with vines sticking into the walls pulls away from various monitoring attachments, like a hospital patient ripping out an IV from their arm. A pitcher plant with 6 slits of eyes circle around the center of its form, where it gestates and creates new bodies out of its victims. It moves along the wall above the spike growth. 3 vine lashes, all miss Peacat. The wood elf captives rip off their unclasped restraints and move toward the intruders, 2 of them taking damage from the spike growth. 4 attacks with 1 landing for a crit, doing 9 bludgeoning to a Peacat. At the end of their turn, the sound of shuffling coming from the other doors echoes in the chamber. Peacat bonus action Giant Smite to grow large and grapples the elf in front of him with a 22 athletics check. He pushes ahead and with his free arm grapples the huge body taker plant. Thrusting them into the spike growth, he then action surges to dash and haste action dashes for 112 d4, totaling 254 damage. Having killed the targeted monster, Peacat rushes out of the room and slams the door shut. Tomcat uses Performance of Creation to place a large stone door in front of the northern door, creating a barrier between the party and whatever is on the other side. They can hear slashing and the sound of acid melting through the stone. Something is trying to break out. With the door barricaded, the band of adventurers returns to the room with the wood elves and easily dispatch all but one in the spike growth. And with some ranged spell attacks before the magically created stone door melts enough from the acid to crumble to the ground, freeing the monsters behind it. A large dragon blood ooze slinks out into the hallway. Tomcat the Plasmoid stares in awe.
Oh Lord, I've brought you this sacrifice, and I indicate Josie.
Josie attempts to get away, but an opportunity attack from the ooze hits, dealing 17 acid and grapples Josie. Sacrifice accepted. An 11 con save is enough to maintain spike growth. Before becoming dinner, Josie misty steps into the airlock and Eldritch blasts the ooze for 25 damage. Peacat decides to attack the ooze, 2 psychic blade attacks for 17 damage. He then draws a rapier and attacks the elf with a hasted attack and the original attack's extra attack for 19 piercing. Tomcat peeks out and animates the large cart with animating performance. The cart rolls forward and attacks the ooze, but misses with a 9. The dragon blood continually tries to shape itself into something resembling a dragon, but like the T-1000 and the molten steel, it can't maintain its shape and collapses into a pile of jelly ooze. It lets out a cone-shaped spray of its gelatinous mass. The cart, Josie, and P-Cat make their deck saves while Tomcat sits comfortably protected inside his crate. 30 damage cut in half for each. It then lashes out with a pseudopod, hitting the animated cart for 20 acid damage. The ooze latches onto the cart, grappling it. Josie wipes the acid slime from her face and blasts off 2 Eldritch Blasts, killing the ooze. The remaining elves surrender to the attackers. The band accepts their surrender, then...
We accept their surrender, and then Pussycat grabs them all and drags them through the Spike Growth.
You surrender right over here.
Yeah, right this way.
Yeah, surrender by your dead god.
The heroes quickly explore the laboratory, revealing some twisted and horrifying half-mutated elves, along with research notes and other evidence of the experiments performed here. Without wasting much time, the band decides to cast Catnap for a short rest. Cat, nap, get it guys? Josie obliges. This allows the animated cart to remain through the short rest, despite only an hour duration on the spell. Josie uses her final inspiration to give the party 8 temp hit points, with Mantle of Inspiration, knowing that she'll get all of them back after the short rest. Returning to their new friend, the Flumph, he guides them to the hidden town of Flumphaven, where the band plays a song of rest for their captivated Flumph audience, allowing the group to regain an additional 5 hit points during the rest. P-Cat and Josie spend 3 and 4 hit dice to heal up. Returning to the archives door, the band detects a glyph of warding that is disarmed by P-Cat with a successful Arcana check. And yes, Arcana can be used to both detect and disarm magical traps. In addition to any other skills mentioned in the spell's description, Tomcat picks the lock with a roll of 23. Inside the room, they find it mostly empty, with light dim enough to be reading light for a creature with dark vision. The passive investigation of 18 is high enough to identify a pressure plate that opens a spiral staircase down into what they believe to be the real archives. The Pegasus pulls its wings in tight, squeezing into the room, and stands on the plate. As they proceed down the staircase, they see a crammed library filled with tomes 15 feet high and a globe of darkness in the center. They attempt to stealth, but the massive steel mechanical staircase that lowered into the room makes that just a bit difficult. Roll initiative, round 1. With a roll of 32, Tomcat slides out of the chest, casts haste at 4th level on P-Cat, and Homer Simpson slinks back into the chest without turning around. Josie strategically places another spike growth at a point she can see. P-Cat darts into the darkness. The Arcana Loth isn't hiding, so the party knows where it is, despite it being completely concealed. The feline grabs a hold of the jackal-headed librarian and drags him 540 feet in the spike growth for 108 d4 damage, 252 magical piercing, dead. Quick search of the body and the band finds a 3rd key. 1 more to go, but with no exits, the team needs to retrace their steps to find the location of the 4th and final key. As they march back up the stairs, the Pegasus is nowhere to be found. A trail of blood leads them out of the reading room into the main entrance, where they find their cart with a smoking hole carved into it by black magical energy. Tomcat laments the destruction of the cart.
Okay, I was going to forgive this guy for killing the Pegasus, because who cares about the stupid Pegasus? But my cart! I care about that cart.
A monster fails a stealth check. Roll initiative. Round 1. Tomcat pops out and casts haste. Josie slides out of the hall into the main entrance and casts Spike Growth again. Thanks for tuning in to CMCC Builds, where we play all the hits, all the time. Despite a globe of darkness, P-Cat finds the first drow and grapples with a straight roll, as ability checks are unaffected by the darkness, but P-Cat is forced to make a wisdom save. The drow is sanctuaried. A 10 fails, but the +3 from Talisman turns the fail into a success. P-Cat drags the black sword drow to the other drow, which deals 18 piercing and causes the darkness to drop after a failed con check. The second drow is grappled by P-Cat, and let the good vibrations begin. He's giving me excitations. With 520 feet of movement left, he dishes out 104 d4 for 258 damage. Dead. 1 round. Again. A shadow demon appears near the spike growth, sees the bloody mess that was once the drow, and the fiend says, "F this, man, I'm out of here," and disappears. A quick search of the drow reveals the final key. Tomcat rushes over to his destroyed cart and casts Mending to repair it.
Oh, and then I hug it.
The band decides against a short rest before the final battle. Finishing the gig in under an hour would be a nice feather in their cap or notch on their belt. Tomcat and Josie inspire each other before they unlock the final door. P-Cat activates his runes,
Yes, what I'll do is I'll take out a little tiny comical watering can and I'll water these rose-looking things on each of my pauldrons, and they'll bloom. Rose petals circle me and activate my runes.
And then uses a bonus action Giant's Might. In they go. A stealth roll of 17 isn't enough to surpass their passive perceptions, and they can hear the dragon burrowing into the room from the ceiling. Roll initiative. Round 1. Again. Tomcat's up. He leaks out of the crate and casts Haste with a 4th level slot, and oozes back inside. The dragon's lair action. The ceiling, walls, and floor bleed out a sludge-like moss that creates difficult terrain until initiative 20 on the next round. Josie flies over and casts a spell. Any guesses? Yeah? She then uses Mantle of Inspiration to allow her bandmates to move as a reaction. Peacat has 100 movement speed right now and takes position on the other side of the Spike Growth. The deep dragon reveals itself above the Spike Growth and spews forth nightmares from its mouth at Peacat. 25 wisdom save is enough to save, taking only 19 psychic. The dragon burrows back into the ceiling.
This is a real problem. I don't know how we're good. What are we gonna do?
Tomcat casts Mirror Image, and the lair action initiative passes. Josie, not wanting to ready a spell which would lose her the Spike Growth, casts Magic Stone, picks him up, and readies throwing a stone, which does not take concentration and allows her to keep the Spike Growth up. Peacat uses a bonus action to hide and sneaks over to the location of the burrowed dragon and readies an attack. Vermithraxes uses his action to hide. A roll of 24 is enough to bypass the band's passive perceptions. They have no idea where he is. Peacat has a thought.
This is his sanctum, right? Let's fuck it up. Maybe we can just get him mad and he won't be so patient then. He wouldn't be much of a dragon without a horde, so let's just fuck his horde up. There's no way that he lets us do that to him.
Yeah.
Tomcat passes. The sludgy moss seeps from the walls, floor, and ceiling again. Josie blasts away at the dragon's horde and precious fossils.
We're gonna trash this hotel room.
Peacat.
Who's got something flammable? I'm British now because we're being rowdy. Let's find something to burn.
The horrified and furious dragon climbs through the ceiling, yelling at the band. He summons 8 raptors surrounding the cart. Tomcat seeps out and viciously mocks the nearest raptor, which fails and takes 5 psychic. He realizes that going back into the crate would count as leaving their range and generate opportunity attacks for the raptors, so he chooses to stay outside. Uh-oh. Josie moves closer to Tomcat and uses Mantle of Inspiration, which allows the allies to move without provoking opportunity attacks. Tomcat uses that to get back into the crate. Josie flies over to the crate and lets loose a 4th level Thunder Wave for 26 damage, killing 5 Velociraptors and sending the cart flying into the back 2 raptors, killing them as well, and destroying the cart and dealing 5 damage to Tomcat. He succeeds on the con check with a nat 20. Peacat bonus action hides and readies an attack. The final raptor attacks the chest and hits once for 4 more damage. The highly intelligent dragon, aware of their combat strategy, casts a Charlatan Stride. Moving towards Josie and Tomcat, they take 3 fire damage, and Josie is resistant. Vermithraxes then turns around and uses its breath weapon on Josie and Peacat. A horrendous roll of only 17 damage is cut in half on 2 successful saves. It then burrows back into the ceiling. On Tomcat's turn, he seeps out of the damaged chest and uses a 5th level slot to use Animated Performance on the giant hand in the center of the room. The hand is ruled to be large size, so it's the correct size to be targeted. The dancing hand then readies a dash action. Tomcat slides into one of the 3 other undamaged chests. The lair action slime. Josie centralizes herself for Emboldening Bond, then dodges. Peacat uses his haste action to trash nearby benches, trying to draw the dragon out again. He carefully lifts himself onto the dancing hand, which has readied an action to dash toward the dragon when it appears. Peacat readies an action to attack, and bonus action hides with a stealth roll of 18 so the dragon doesn't know he's on the hand. The dragon drops down right on top of Tomcat Jones, which triggers the hand's readied action to move towards the dragon, which pulls Peacat along for the ride, which in turn triggers his readied action to attack the dragon when it's close. The attack he chooses is of course a grapple. With advantage on the grapple check, he rolls a 17 with a +4 from Bond. The dragon rolls only a 13 and is grappled with a speed of 0. He ain't going nowhere now. The dragon looks suspiciously unfazed by the grapple. It attacks the crate several times and bashes it open. Tomcat leaks onto the floor, taking 6 damage. The con check would fail on haste, but Emboldening Bond makes that a success. The dragon winks at Peacat and Misty steps out of his grasp down to the ground. Tomcat actually considers giving up at this moment, but his bandmates reassure him. They got this. How many Misty Steps can he have? He slithers over to the 2 remaining undamaged crates and gets inside. The hand centralizes itself and readies an action to dash. Rinse, repeat. Josie casts Long Strider on the dancing hand. PCAT bonus action hides with a 26 stealth. The dragon fails to recover its breath weapon. With no choice, it drops out of the ceiling. The hand dashes. PCAT grapples, and the dragon can't move. Desperate, it attacks Tomcat's crate, trying to get to the creature that cast haste, and all the attacks miss. Tomcat does nothing. A tail attack by the dragon hits the crate and does 8 bludgeoning. The layer action allows Vermithraxes to cast slow. PCAT uses a storm rune to give himself advantage on the save. Succeeding with a 20, Josie would fail with a 15, but uses Bond to get to the 16 DC and pass. Josie fires off a couple Eldritch Blasts that miss. And using a legendary action, the dragon tail attacks the crate again, which shatters into pieces, leaving Tomcat sitting on the ground, but smirking deviously.
Now you'll be able to see this grand finale.
And I wave at him. Bye-bye.
It's at this point, it is noted that the dragon simply could have and would have waited out the party spells had they not been smart enough to destroy the dragon's horde and provoke it.
When you start bashing the hotel room, the hotel manager will come.
Pussycat's turn. I think I can do him the honor of using his rightful name right now. The band sits back and lets him shred the solo. And here, with Vermithraxes already grappled, the feline can generate 960 feet of movement this turn. Starting next to the dancing hand provides 10 feet of extra movement. Mobile, Long Strider, Haste, Feline Agility gives a base speed of 240 feet. Action Dash, Bonus Action Dash, Haste Action Dash. Top of that base movement speed is 960 feet of movement. While grappling this huge dragon, that's 480 feet of movement. 192 d4 damage through the Spike Growth, which they roll for 490 piercing damage on the final boss. Treantmonk, Ramen Goblin, and Math Guy Dave have done it. They have defeated the level 10 Gauntlet. In Magic the Gathering, there's a concept of a fair deck, which usually just means a non-combo deck. It doesn't necessarily mean that a combo deck is broken, even if it's quote-unquote unfair. I don't know if this build combo is broken or not, but it's certainly as close as you can get if it's not. Stay tuned for the next Gauntlet, when several fair yet extremely powerful builds take on the Gauntlet, where you can see just how tough it can be. If you've made it this far, thank you. Please consider giving me a subscribe so I know to keep doing these types of videos. Check out my Patreon for cool perks and to support the channel, which I'm very thankful for everyone who does. And if you haven't already joined the Gauntlet Discord, you can do that and support the team there, links below. Thanks again to the players. You guys are awesome. This was awesome to see. And I hope you can do another one soon. Bye, everyone.